Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Um, I see a couple people joining us now, so we're just going to wait one moment. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, New York time. Congratulations on your admission. We're really excited to see you in the incoming summer and fall. My name is Sarah Canicchio. I'm Director of Admission, and I am accompanied by my great colleagues in ISSO, Mark Mejia, Rhea Juma, Tomas Toleja, and they're going to be going over some really important details, presentation to start off with. And then we're going to hold off for the Q&As at the end of the session. So I hope that we can answer all of your questions today, but don't worry, we're available after the session. So don't worry if you think of something else later. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mark.
Thanks so much, Sarah, and hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Mark Mejia. I work at the International Students and Scholars Office, also known as the ISSO. And I'm here today with my colleagues to talk to you all about some important immigration essentials. I'll let my two other colleagues just sort of reintroduce themselves.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you so much, Mark and Sarah. Hello, everybody. My name is Tomas Tuleja. I work at the ISSO with Mark. Thank you for being here today with us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Raya. I'm here to talk with my other colleagues about your admission and also part of the next step when you are here about your employment.
Thank you all. Definitely wanted to start out on behalf of myself, my colleagues, the ISSO. Congratulations to all of you on your admission to Columbia. I can say that GSAP is specifically within Columbia such a great school. I've been able to work with many of the administrators at GSAP for a number of years now. So our goal today and really the mission of the ISSO is to provide you all with the tools and the resources and information you'll need to be successful here as international students. When we think about today's session, our focus will be to make the pre-arrival and sort of arrival process of entering the US as international students as seamless as possible. I understand for many of you, this may be your first time entering the US as international students. That being said, I'm actually going to pass it back to Sarah, then we will transition to my colleague Tomas.
Great, thank you. This is one step that we want to share with you because there's always a point of confusion over this. I know that you're very eager to start your I-20, but the first thing that you need to do to gain access to the Compass system is to confirm your enrollment by submitting your non-refundable tuition deposit, the $700 tuition deposit. And there is a delay in processing that after you are confirmed enrollment. It may take up to 7 business days to create a uni for you. And this uni is another unique identifier that you can use to activate your student record. So just please keep that in mind. April 15th is the enrollment deadline. So if you decide to enroll with us, which I hope you do, there will be a delay in beginning your I-20 after you actually confirm and submit the non-refundable tuition deposit. So please keep that in mind. It's not an immediate process, and you will have to activate your uni in order for you to gain access to Compass, to gain access to apply for housing and submit your tuition, your immunization documents and others, and access to other student accounts. So if you're clicking on a bunch of forms for housing and your immunization form, you're not gonna be able to move through with it. You're gonna get an error message. So you'll have to activate your uni first, and there's a little bit of a delay after you activate your uni, maybe about an hour. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking about starting that I-20 process, starting the housing process. You will need to do this first. Okay, Mark, go hand it back over to you.
So thank you so much, Sarah. So here we see the agenda for today. We will begin by discussing how to obtain an I-20. Then we'll go over the visa application process, followed by important visa requirements. We'll then share helpful resources with you if you have further questions. Now, at the end of this presentation, we'll have a Q&A in the chat. Please wait until the end of this presentation to enter your questions in the chat at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we'll answer all your questions. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible given our time frame today with you. So let's get started. To begin the visa process, you must first receive your admission to the university. After your admission has been confirmed, you may begin preparing supporting documentation to submit an online I-20 application in our system called Compass. I'll go into further detail about the specific supporting documents we require on the next slide. But after you have submitted a complete application, we will review your submission and documents. If your documentation is sufficient, we'll issue the I-20 and you may then begin the visa process with your local embassy or consulate. Now, we'll move on to talk about the supporting documentation you should prepare for the I-20 application. Now, the supporting documents for the I-20 application include copies of your admission letter, passport, proof of funds. These are financial documents to cover the estimated expenses for the first academic year of your program. These can include bank statements, loan approval letters, scholarships, etc. There's a complete list on our website of the documents you may submit. Generally, documents should include the name of the account holder or sponsor, date no older than 3 months, generally speaking, and available balance or funds. There's also a sponsor certification form in PDF signed by your sponsor, for example, your parent, sibling, friend, if they will be funding you. Now, after you receive your complete application, the ISSO advisor processing your application may email you directly if any additional documentation or information is needed. Once your application is approved, we'll send an electronic I-20 to you by email, along with detailed next steps on how to begin the visa application and prepare for your arrival. You will need your unique CVIS ID listed on the I-20 document to start applying for the student visa. We recommend applying for the I-20 as soon as possible after your admission is confirmed. This is because visa processing times can vary and can sometimes be unpredictable depending on where you live. And as much as we would like, the ISSO and GSAP are not able to expedite visa processing. So again, applying early is best. Now, students entering the US for the first time as an F1 student will need to apply for a new F1 visa with the I-20 issued by the ISSO. Some of you may be asking, what if I already have an expired visa in my passport? In this case, we encourage students to contact the embassy or consulate they applied at to confirm if they will need to apply for a new visa. Be mindful, though, that in this scenario, you will still need to apply for an I-20 from our office. But generally speaking, if you previously studied in the US, and also have an unexpired F1 visa in your passport, you may be able to use it even if a previous school's name is listed on it. Again, this only applies if you have previously studied in the US on that visa. And now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Mark.
Thank you, Tomas. Now, let's take some time to discuss in further detail the student visa application process. So this process includes another online application. This time it's going to be through your local US consulate, local US embassy, using an online form called the DS-160. When we think about the questions, we encourage you just to answer them as truthfully and to the best of your ability. Once you have completed the online DS-160 application, you can then proceed with scheduling an interview with that consulate or embassy. You will need to present all the same supporting documents that you provided to us at the ISSO for your I-20 at the visa interview. When we think about the visa processing time, this can really vary. It can be from 1 to 6 weeks, sometimes even longer. It does depend on individual circumstances and also that consulate or embassy specific processing time. So as Tomas mentioned, we really recommend applying for your I-20 as early as possible so that this way you can then proceed with booking that visa appointment and kind of creating as much space as possible to arrive on time for your program. As you move through the visa process, you will use that same system. So Compass, the system you use to apply for your I-20, to notify us at the ISSO of the status of your visa application. This really helps us keep in contact with you. It sort of helps us monitor trends as well. So some of the updates will include, I have my visa appointment, I have my F1 visa, things of that nature. I wanted to mention as well, in regards to the wait times, there is something called a global visa wait time online. And you can go ahead and check that to get sort of an estimation of how long it will take for you. I was able to check it this morning, and it was last updated on February 13th, so relatively recently. After you have received your student visa and passport back from the consulate or embassy, you can then prepare for your arrival into the US. So after you arrive in the US, there are important student visa requirements for you to remember. All of this information will be emailed to you. It's all on our website. There's no need to memorize anything. We just wanted to give you a sort of general sense of what to expect. The first thing I'll say is you must register full-time for on-campus classes. When we think about online courses, if your school and program offers them, there is a limit of one online course applying towards this full-time requirement. After you arrive in the US, you will want to ensure that you report your arrival to the ISSO. This is also done through that system Compass, and it's required for all our F1 students. When we're thinking about arrival, I also want to state here the earliest that you can enter the US in F1 status will be 30 days before the start of your program, as indicated on your I-20. A small note here, if you do move during your program of study, that's totally fine. You can change US addresses. Do be sure to report that new address to us. In regards to international travel, it also is possible to travel internationally as an F1 student, but you will want to ensure that you do have the documents needed to re-enter, and this will mirror the same documents you used for your first entry. So your I-20, this time you will want to ensure that it's travel signed on the second page, passport, valid F1 visa. And lastly, do not work off campus without proper authorization from the ISSO. One of my colleagues will be here to speak on that as well. So here we have our website, ISSO.Columbia. I know we covered a lot today. Sort of to recap, apply for your I-20 as soon as possible so that you can then begin the F1 student visa application process. Please refer to our website for information. When we think about the I-20 process, the visa process, we can see here CPT, OPT, really a lot of the perhaps all of the processes for international students, they can potentially be a little bit daunting, especially if it's your first time. So we have a whole communications team at the ISSO, and the website is really designed to walk you through each process step by step. You'll see everything laid out clearly in sort of like a step 1, 2, 3 format. You can sort of think of it as a roadmap. Again, because we understand that for many of you, this may be your first time applying for your I-20, going through the F1 visa process. So we just try to keep it as organized and keep it as clear as possible. And now I will pass it on to my colleague Rhea to sort of give an overview of employment as F1 students.
Thank you, Mark. So hopefully once you received your I-20 and successfully get your visa and you're ready to be here and you arrived, then we'll talk about the options of employment options for you. We have the first one that on campus that's not required any work authorization from ISSO. You will be eligible to work once you complete your arrival check-in, and then that should be paid on campus, that any kind of job paid by Columbia University. For further helpful resources, how to find those kind of job on campus, it's also listed in our website. Part of the on-campus also, you have to be aware about it. You will also might need to get a social security number, because once you received any kind of income in the United States, you need to report your tasks. So also this kind of information you could find in details, the steps and the process in our website. The other two options that will require a work authorization from ISSO, the first one during your study, it will call the CPT, the curricular practical training, that you will be eligible for CPT once you complete 2 consecutive semesters. That means you have to complete 2 terms. If you, like, for example, if you're starting on like fall, you will be eligible for CPT by summer 2027. The CPT also required you to work with your academic advisor, because it will be tied with a register for an elective course that tied to your program. And then the CPT also, as I mentioned before, it will require a work authorization from ISSO with a specific process, because then you will receive a CPT I-20. The authorization for your work will be on your I-20. The other employment option, it's after your graduation. That's when you complete your program. After the end date of your program, you will be eligible for the post OPT. Also, that will require work authorization from ISSO. This one will be also required some kind of application to the USCIS to get the EAD card, which is the employment work authorization. This one will be for 12 months. It's a benefit after you're done with your program for a F1 visa. So you could work for 12 months related to your field of study. Part of your program, not all of them, you could then ask if you are eligible or reach out to ISSO, because it will depend on your program. They will be eligible for STEM extension. The STEM extension will start after you complete your the initial post OPT, the 12 months. Again, it's not all your program GCAP program, they are STEM eligible. You need to reach out to make sure if you are to ISSO, so then we could discuss further the next step for you. That's mean to extend your 12 months to 24 months after graduation. I think I know it's a lot of information, but again, we have a very helpful resources in our website about the employment with all the processing and requirement.